great show. We have a great show. You guys, you're all attentive. That's good. So anyway, we have a great guest, and we're going to start with a great actress, singer-songwriter, Kathleen Wilhoite. I know Kathleen.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to start off. She's going to play a few songs tonight. We're going to talk about her amazing career. It's just, you know, she was on my radio show. We talked about that, but we never really went into the music aspect. And you didn't bring a guitar because I didn't ask you to. But for this, it was perfect. So she's going to play some songs. We're going to talk. So Kathleen's going to play a song right now, and take it away.
What a pleasure to lay eyes on.
keep singing. So, okay, so I know you're from Santa Barbara.
Right.
And now, you were involved in choir at a very young age, right?
Right.
So how'd you get into that? I know you have a story about the Carpenters or something?
Yeah, I started singing in our church choir at All Saints by the Sea when I was 5 years old. And I was very embarrassed because everyone used to tease me because I had a baby voice. They would say, you have a baby voice, but I got all the solos, so, oh well.
They're probably pissed. They're probably jealous. Like, we don't want the girl with a baby voice singing because she can sing.
I know that. It's just one of those things. And then the Carpenters came to town, and they assembled a choir. You guys remember that song, la 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 la, right? And they assembled a choir from the church, right, from my church, and then and we got to sing at the county bowl, with Karen Carpenter. And right before, my mother had always said, this was in the 70s, and my mother said, you gotta pull up your knee socks. Don't forget to pull up your knee socks, because they always were rumpled down in my ankles. So we walked out on stage, and Karen starts, the beginning part of the song, and then I was like a loudmouth kid, right? I said, wait! And I pulled up my knee socks, and then I said, carry on. And I got this huge laugh. It was like, when I was 7, 8 years old, this big laugh. I was like, oh, this is heaven.
See, it's amazing you weren't nervous, because I was supposed to in 6th grade, because I have no musical talent. Like, my sister played the French horn and the cello. Of course, she was heavy. That makes sense. And that's not to be mean, but and my brother was a great drummer. But me, I played the trombone for a little bit, and I was supposed to have this big solo. Well, it's duet to Flight of the Bumblebees in the 6th grade, but I got mono and I couldn't do it. But I would have been nervous. Weren't you nervous at all? You're in front of the people here to see the Carpenters, and were you nervous at all? There must have been like, a few thousand people there?
Well, that's a beautiful thing about being ignorant, is I didn't know to be nervous. I was too little. I don't think I started getting nervous. And plus singing, I sang every Sunday in my church. I just didn't know any better. It's so funny because I almost feel like sometimes people are, they've got ice water in their brains because their veins, because they're too stupid to know like how much is really actually at stake. Like, you know what I mean? Like.
Well, because I used to say, like, with the comedy world too, like when kids are like 15 or 16, they have no fear.
No,
like if they go on stage, if they bomb, they go back to school the next day.
Right.
If that's your living and you bomb, you just lost a bunch of bookings, you have to pay rent. So I think it's when you're younger, I guess it's right. You don't have any fear. You have no inhibitions because you're 7 or 8. What's the worst thing that happens? You'll go home and watch, Green Acres.
Right, but I also had I hadn't gotten knocked down. I never didn't get the part. I never didn't get rejected. And even when I first came down to Los Angeles, I used to audition just bulletproof. I was never nervous. Of course, I was probably with the aid of chemicals.
Right.
I just didn't. I just wasn't that nervous. And then it wasn't until you have a family and like all of a sudden the stakes get ratcheted up, and then you're like doing one of these like.
I know.
Shaking. I'm ready to read now.
So you were singing in the choir, and you were
Right.
singing. Now, when did you catch the acting bug? Because was it in high school, or were you younger? Singing and acting are two different things, unless it's musicals. But when did you actually sit there and find the joy of acting? Were you at a young age?
Well, with singing, I always say that like you're either on key or you're not, and you know it when you're not. Like I know it if I'm not on key. You either nail it or you don't. And with acting, it's a bunch of shades of gray. And so I would get parts in musicals because I could sing, and the acting was just something you did between songs. I didn't really focus on it, and it wasn't until I was a senior in high school, I did a play called House of Blue Leaves by John Guare, and I had this tremendous director, a really good director, and I played Bananas, which is like the lead character. But he basically taught me about how to, he gave me sort of a key into what that is when you play a character, and what kind of a thrill it can be when you put yourself in the shoes of another person. And it felt like the feeling that I get in the middle of a song. In the middle of a song, you are in the song. It's just, I feel like all of us are trying to surf that way. We're all trying to be in the moment, right? Everybody, whether it's comedy, you know that if you're thinking about your next joke, you're probably not sort of nailing the joke that you're telling.
You're
not
always
in the,
preoccupied.
Exactly, and so acting is the same thing. And I realized when I did House of Blue Leaves, what a tremendous thing that was. Like the minute that curtain went up, you go, you know, I compare it to surfing because I come from surf culture, but it's like, you know, you're in that moment. And then it really took hold. It really, and I went to USC as an actress, as a drama major, and 3 weeks into going to USC, I got a movie. Again, bulletproof, right? I got him, like, who does that?
What movie was it?
It's like if I really wanted to come down here and do a movie, I'd never get the part. But this, I was like, I'll say that back at the back. I guess I'll just do the movie.
What was it?
Private School for Girls.
Okay, well, that's all right.
I'm not saying it was a quality picture.
But still, I mean, you're just in school. Now, I know when you came down with a bunch of other actors from Santa Barbara, right?
Well, yeah, there was a gang of us, yeah. But I mean, they're older than me, but
Okay.
I did follow a trail of actors. We all, there's this guy, Gary Goddard, and we all, perhaps you know, he's in the news.
What was he gonna? Okay.
But we all, he was my manager, and we all, he basically, he got me that audition for private school, and he started the careers of Dean Cameron,
Okay.
Eric Stoltz, Tony Edwards, some of these other people.
So when you got that part, did you decide to quit school? Or did you stay in school? Or what did you say?
I stayed in school. I was living in the dorms at the time, and they hadn't figured out what their policy was at the time for actors who worked. I went to USC, and so they gave me full college credit while I was doing private school for girls, and they soon, I think it didn't take them very long to change their policy after that. But yeah, I finished out that first year, and then we all had to do an audition to get back into the second year of college.
Yeah, piss you off. You're sitting here. You're a paid professional actress, and they're like, "Okay, audition. Come on, okay, we know. We oh you're working. Oh no, but you have to get back in." And it's like, "Wait, I'm working. Okay, the teachers aren't even working. I'm working, and I have to audition."
Okay, that was my attitude.
Okay.
And so I tried out, and I loved my monologues. I thought they were fantastic, right? Again, I hadn't gotten knocked down. Life hadn't knocked me down yet. So I auditioned, and I kept saying, I think I should do it again, you know, and I kept doing I was obnoxious. Anyway, I did not get asked back to go. They were like, you need to go out and go do it. Get out, go.
And I saw you were Quarterback Princess, which
Yeah.
I love that movie. I'm sorry, I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's like one of those after-school specials, and Helen Hunt is a football quarterback.
Yes.
And before, no one even talked about women being quarterbacks, and no one talked about women playing high school football back then.
No, they didn't.
And I still remember that movie, and it was just one of those movies, like, you know those after-school specials? They're so, like, different, sort of a little bit cheesy, but they're so good. Like, you know, like Ben Affleck did the steroids and knocked over the bookshelf and it killed his girlfriend's kitten. I don't know if you saw that one. And that's an actual, it's like one of those crazy things. But now, what was that like? Was that cool? Because now you're friends still with Helen Hunt, right?
Yeah, she's one of my friends. Well, it was really good. Why? Tim Robbins was in that movie.
Okay.
John Stockwell was in that movie. He's a director and a writer now. Who else? Daphne Zuniga was in that movie.
Okay.
Like it was kind of jam-packed with people that went on to do fairly well. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was Peter Berg in that movie. I don't know. But
That's a really good cast.
it was a pretty darn good cast, and we all hung out together. It was so fun, and Helen and I became fast friends, and she'd tell me, you know, when we get back to LA, because we shot it up in Oregon, she said, you know, it's hard to maintain friendships when you're on location. And she said, you need to call me, or I will call you. Because we both lived in Sherman Oaks. And I didn't really understand, like, of course, you know, we're friends. But it is weird when you come back from location. You do form these bonds with people on location. And you come back, and, you know, she owned her own house. I was 19 years old at the time. And anyway, I called her, and when we saw each other, we went to aerobics together.
Did you have the leg warmers? Was it back then?
Of course. This was before she did, yeah, it was big time. Ripped up, like cut all the necks out of all my t-shirts. And Anyway, we had a natural friendship. She's a terrific person. She's smart and funny, and that's usually the requirement that I like in my friends. She's smart and funny. She's a good person.
So you did that movie. Now, are you going to audition a lot then, or because you booked 2 things? I mean, and you weren't here that long, which some people are here forever and they book nothing. So how did the process follow after that? Did you start going to a lot of auditions? Were you booking a lot of stuff?
Well, there's nothing like having a movie to improve your odds of getting an agent.
Right.
They immediately got to negotiate 10% of my salary, and so now I got a pretty heavy agent because of this guy Gary Goddard, and so I got an agent, and then at that time it was the Brat Pack. Remember the Brat Pack?
Right.
And I tried out for a movie called St. Elmo's Fire.
Okay.
Still waiting to hear. Still waiting. I had a good audition. I'm waiting to hear on that. No, but there was a lot of parts for people that could play high school age kids, and I had long red hair that I put in braids, freckles. I smoked clove cigarettes, so I had like a husky voice. And I believe that I worked a lot because you could wrap me up and put me in a box. I was sexless friend, right? I was the one that's not going to threaten the lead character in any way, but was likable. They always said I was likable, and so I did. I got part after part. Now, I mean, it's not as though I did. There was a period where I ran out of money and I had to get a regular job.
What did you do?
Market research.
Were you in the mall with a clipboard?
No, but I did do the Coke and Pepsi challenge at the supermarket on 38th Street.
Okay.
That was embarrassing. But yeah, you have to do what you got to do. You got to pay your bills. So that's. Oh, and then at some point, I got hip to you can apply for unemployment. And then I lived with my Dean Cameron. I lived with Dean Cameron over in Sherman Oaks. My rent was like whatever, it was really cheap. And my unemployment, because you get paid a lot as an actress, you get maximum benefits in unemployment. That was my life. I mean, I paid for acting class and my apartment until I got the next job, which
Well, it's funny because I know as we look through your resume, you were on Cop Rock, which I don't think people saw Cop Rock. It was a musical. Yeah, it was a musical cop show. But the very weird thing is, when Kathleen was on my radio show, the same day, the other guest was Peter Onorati.
Oh, yeah.
And they were both in Cop Rock. So I was, I think, the only person ever to have 2 people from Cop Rock 20 years later in the studio. And I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. It was like a Cop Rock reunion, I think, sort of. So now your Cop Rock act, I heard, was a very sad scene.
Yes, I sell my baby for crack.
Which is always,
It's one of my specialties. Yeah, I did Cop Rock, and I had met a guy in Nashville and married him 2 weeks later, who then pawned everything I owned. Says, I can pick 'em, girls. I can pick a fella. And so when I was shooting Cop Rock, he was in my trailer doing what guys like that do, because we were in the middle of South Central. And there were like a bunch of drug dealers in my trailer. I remember. Well, I'm like, stop it! I'm trying to sing. Okay, I'm ready to shoot. And then I did. And then I sat on a bench, park bench. It was the last scene of the day, and I was holding this baby, which always made me laugh because who has their baby try out for the crack baby? I'm just. Right. I'm really like what self-respecting mother is like. My baby's a shoo-in.
LA casting, it's like, we need a crack baby. Has to be a little bit lighter than the rest of the babies because it's a crack fetus. So you're sitting there with the baby.
I'm sitting there with a baby, and at that time they were doing it. You sang live. You didn't just lip sync. You sang live. So it was like a big deal. They probably do it all the time now, but at that time it was a big deal. I sang a Randy Newman song. And just to an earbud in my ear, and I'm singing to the baby, and there's a big crescendo in the middle of the song. Close your eyes now, little girl. And when I got to that, close your eyes, the baby startled and went like, and made like this weird face, and I started to laugh, like thinking that they were gonna cut it, but they didn't have time to cut the scene. And I look up at Hovland, he's the director, this guy Greg, and I look up to him like, you gonna cut this? And he's like, keep going, keep going. now a little girl. But I had like tears streaming down my face, right? So what happened was when I saw it, and it was all very subtle communication, but people thought that there was some choice or some pathos or some depth or something. But to me, it was ugly baby. Are you gonna cut that? You know, carry on, okay. That was really what was going on. And so it was a huge sort of moment for me in how film is not really an actor's medium, because you can fool them. That, you know what I mean? You can fool them.
Right.
I fooled them.
Now, how did you cry? Is there, some people said there's something called septic pencils or something, or?
No, liquid acting. It's a
That's-
trick of the trade, darling. No, they got this stuff in the makeup box, and I've now gotten quite good at it, because, you know, they started a scene like in the middle of some tantrum, and I'm not a human. I don't do whatever. I mean, I'll give you like 2 or 3 takes, but if you're gonna go into 8, 9 takes, I can't. I won't. I don't. So, and I learned it from Susan Sarandon actually. It's this thing where they say when the sound guy's ready, everyone's ready, like 2 seconds before they say action, they take this like tube and they blow it in your eyes. And then you close your eyes and they say action, and you open your eyes and tears well up. And the thing is, it's not total bullshit because the tears well up, but if you've ever seen someone cry and you're fine and they cry and then you start getting choked up, something happens physically and you can bring, like suddenly you are completely in the scene and they're getting what they want. They want blood and guts, right? They want tears. But you're in the scene and you're doing this, the job. So it's a interesting trick of the trade. I wanted to maybe do an acting class for directors because I feel like they should know that. Because I've been on sets where they like are killing somebody on their 10th take to get them to sob, and so they go like, and it's so fakey and bullshit. I just feel like, oy, if I could just say, do the liquid acting, call it a day, you know, that's all they really want.
Yeah, they just want you to
And I
cry.
know that like there are a lot of my method friends would be like, oh, how could you? But it's just business. Business is
It's
business.
like, I want to get done. I don't want to be here all night.
I want to go home, rap.
So now Cop Rock lasted 1 season, right?
I don't know, not long.
So now were you bummed that it got canceled? Because did you think was your part going to be a long-term part, or just once you get rid of the crack baby, you were written off?
No, they had me do other stuff. I even wrote a song for it actually. But I was at a period in my life where I kept getting acting jobs. I got a record deal by talking myself into it. It was in my 20s. I really was on quite a roll. So I was never aware of something getting canceled and that would, as though that would have some kind of impact on my life. To me, it was like, cool, I'm gonna go be a rock star anyway, you know, which is.
They said you got a record deal. You got a
Yeah.
record. Now, when did you start writing being a singer-songwriter? I know you always sang, but when did you start writing songs? And I'm sure you did write the music and the lyrics both. At what age did you start doing that? Did you kept it up going through your whole acting career?
I started writing songs in like the 6th grade. I always had a piano in my room, and that was my secret world, you know, and I just started writing. That was my whole thing, and that was how I kind of processed any kind of breakup or drama, high school drama. My songs were terrible, but I was writing them. I was doing it. So I did it at a very young age, and then my songs turned a corner. I joined the Santa Barbara Songwriters Guild when I was like 16 years old, and I collaborated with my dad, and I started working with other songwriters and kind of learning the craft of it, because it is a craft. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus works because it just works a lot of times. Like it just feels good. And then I guess the Santa Barbara Songwriters Guild, when I did that, I got a lot of attention and sunshine with that. So that when I was done with high school, I was at a crossroads. I thought, do I do the songwriting or I do the acting? And I had boyfriends that went to USC drama school, so to me that just seemed like an easier, a lot more logical route. And just continued to keep writing songs, and it wasn't until I was on a set called Campus Man, another quality picture, that I got, that I was hanging out with the A&R person in a bar, and I was like, well, you know, I write songs, and she's like, I would love to hear them. So I said, well, I'll send it to you, and like I would, with my acting money, I would make demos. And you know, a recording was kind of expensive back in the day. You know, they cost you like $600-700 to make a good demo. And so I had I started compiling these demos. I didn't know really what to do with them. And so I gave her my demo, and then she called me and she said, "We want to sign you." It was a polygram.
That's pretty
Right,
cool.
but it's, you know, it's just so funny the opportunities you get when you're just a dumbass. You know, like what I would do with that, now, you know. Anyway, so I was on polygram, and she flew me to Nashville to work with people in Nashville, and I fell in love with Nashville, and I met some people that were incredibly influential on me. Influential on me?
Yeah.
Influential, wait, yeah, what is it?
Is it on me?
That's
Influential,
no.
they
They
influenced me.
They influenced me.
Okay, there we go.
See, now I'm gonna sound like even a dumber ass. Oh well. So they had a big influence on me, and I found that when I wrote songs on the guitar, I wrote better lyrics than when I wrote songs on the piano. It's almost like I knew too much about the instrument, and when on a guitar I could do 1-4-5, and I didn't know any better. I was like, hey, but there's a capo, you know. But there's like it's still C G D F whatever. And then my lyrics I felt like became more sophisticated or better. I just got better at it, and I wrote songs every single day.
Okay.
Once I got to Nashville, that was my job. So wake up, drink, write songs, drink, write songs, drink, wake up, drink, write songs. That was sort of my life in Nashville, and I loved it. It worked while it lasted.
Well, why don't you play a song?
Okay. All right, I wrote this about my little son. You look down on me from your cloud in the sky. Close your eyes, then you fell back in my arms, open wide. I was forced to remember, hey girl, I once knew, thought she'd burst into flames if someone were to hold on for dear life while heartbreaking chaos passed through, looking at me like I know what to do. Ooh, well, I'm trying. Lord knows I'm trying. I'm trying to do right by you. It seemed like forever, though it's been a few years. Nothing prepared me for these laughing tears. I sit on the sidelines, rooting for you to win, watching you fall down and get back up again, to hold on for dear life while heartbreaking chaos passed through, looking at me like I know what to do.
thinking like people are gonna walk by and they're gonna see you playing guitar and just see me sitting here like a dope. And they're like probably waiting for me to like pull out a tambourine or something. Like every once in a while they're going, wait, I'm gonna do my Davy Jones. I'm like, hey.
But I didn't beg you to play. You play guitar, you play better than she does.
So, okay, I want to get up to your career now with ER, because you were in ER, and now, what season did you get involved in that? And did you know that would be such a huge, huge hit when you auditioned for it?
No, I did not know it would be a huge, huge hit. And a dude from Santa Barbara was in it that I knew, Tony, this guy Anthony Edwards was in it. But I have to say, in retrospect, it was the first time in my career when I went to the audition, and this is after I'd gotten a lot of knocks, you know, like rejection, you know, like now I knew the business, you know, but this one audition, I read the scene and I thought to myself, oh no, this one's mine. This part is mine. And I went and I looked at the other actresses, and the people in my category are they're all killer actresses. But I just looked at them and I was like, no, I think I got this. And so I just went and did my thing and got it, you know. And so it was, it felt very, you know, I just quit drinking and doing drugs too. So I felt like I had a real handle on what that character, because that was the character really struggled with drugs and alcohol. And so I felt like maybe some of that experience was going to do some good for once, you know, and I could bring that to the table. And I felt like it worked with the way they wrote that very well for me. Every time I got the script, I was like, I got this. The other thing, I always wanted to do a thing where, you know, those kinds of people who invade your space, talk too close to your face, touch you too much. Those are the kinds of things that I would use as just sort of a little handle into that girl. You know, if you see like she gets a music box and I shake it like it's this fragile little music. Thanks, you know, like because she was a tornado person, you know, and I just felt like I understood the energy of that character well, and it was a nice gig for me.
Now, when that became so popular, and it was the #1 show for a very long time, did people start recognizing you, or have you been recognized throughout, like from different movies? So people come and said, "Hey, you're the girl on Campus, man." Did they ever say that? Something like that?
No, not well. Sometimes if the gay guys knew of me. Let's see. You know what happened to me from ER, to be honest with you, is that I was like in the prime of my acting career in terms of my age and my look and all of that. And pilot season came up, and I was sort of ineligible because I was a reoccurring on ER. It was so popular, and people felt like this is what they said why I couldn't go out on pilot season that year, was that I was too recognizable from ER. And the Screen Actors Guild started a thing which is called Top of the Show, which they only pay you a set amount. Like you can't go over that price. So it was actually like a really weird and hard time after that for me financially, because I couldn't get another pilot, another series, you know. But thank God for music, because at the time I was playing a lot of music, and I was doing that. Maybe I had gotten signed with V2. I can't remember.
Did you like playing live? I mean, was that always a good feeling for you when you would sit there when you were playing a lot of music? Did you enjoy performing in front of an audience? Or some people don't enjoy it. Did you enjoy the live interaction with people?
I enjoy having played. I like the last song. I like doing all that. All the stuff prior to that, I genuinely am miserable. I feel like I don't have enough practice. My guitar playing, I'm always getting nervous with my guitar playing, and that's why I usually play with the guitar player, because I just get shaky. I don't know, I wish I was one of those like chicks that can do that. It's just not my gift, you know. So to be honest with you, I hate promoting myself. I think it's humiliating, and it's part of the business, and I need to just grow up. All of the stuff that surrounds it, I loathe. What I actually like is being in the middle of a song, and then at the end of the gig. But everything else is, it feels, I'm always asking myself, why did I do this? I'm so happy alone in my room, in my bedroom with Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
You know, whatever, like, why am I doing this?
Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Love, I cannot wait. Dave and I are going to watch this season.
I haven't watched it. We were talking about this earlier, and I don't know. I never got into it. And what happens is, if you're not into it, if you want to start watching it, you can't, because if you're on Facebook, everybody says, "Oh, I can't believe they killed this person."
Oh.
My friends are from back east, so you're sitting there going, "Well, great, thanks. I don't have to watch it now." And that was like with The Walking Dead. I missed like one season, then okay, this person's dead. This person. And it's no fun watching it then.
Yeah, you know what's great? David is my husband, and he and I, everyone had been telling us about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's so good. And I was like, don't want to watch it. And Dave's like, I'm telling you, we have to, I don't want to watch the dude from the Malcolm in the Middle. That was my whole thing. And he's like, I'm telling you, we got to watch this show. So he gets it up on the computer, and we start watching it. And obviously the guy's fantastic. And we can't stop watching it. And so we watched the first episode, and then he looks at me, he's like, let's do the next one. And it is so, we would watch it 3, 4 in the morning, just like, next. We loved it. It's such a fun way to watch a show.
Yeah, me and my friend were talking about it before the show, but it's true. You sit there and you get to that feeling, you're like, okay, I have to get up. It's 2 in the morning, and you go, all right, I can watch one more. One more. And you're sitting there going, okay, you know what? I won't take a shower tomorrow. I'll watch one more. And then you sit there, it's like 5 in the morning, you're going, well, screw it. I'll just watch it. But with Breaking Bad, which was funny, was I started watching the first 2 seasons on Netflix, and then I stopped. And then everyone was saying it was a great show. And then it was close towards the end of the last season, so I said, I have to catch up now. Because once again, no one gives a crap, and they're going to spoil it for you. And it's a great show.
Oh, we watched The Wire that way too.
That's a great show also.
Such a great show. And I actually love being in control over when you can watch the next episode instead of having to wait a week, But here's my thing. I would like to be in I'm a huge TV fan, and I would love to be in some of the shows that I love, and I feel like I never get to do those shows. So if you're listening, Graham Yost, and I love Justified. You guys watch Justified? It's such a killer show.
John Kapelos was in that. He was just on
really?
the show here 2 weeks ago.
Yep, I love that show, and I would love to be in a show that I actually love, which would be Justified. Breaking Bad's over. What are we? Justified Americans, we like that.
Americans is
But Orange is the New Black.
I haven't watched that. It's one of the things
Killer.
I want to watch it, but I always worry because everyone's like, it's the best show ever. And then you watch it and you have that high expectation, and you're like, it's okay, but you don't go crazy about it.
Oh, that's
Silicon Valley's really good on HBO.
We've been watching Silicon Valley.
Great show.
And Dave was trying to I was like, I don't want to, but now I'm into it because I like
Only
it.
8 episodes though. That's what sucks. Now it's done. The season's done.
Is that right?
And you get into a show, and then you're sitting there watching it, and like in 10 episodes, it's completely done, and you're like, I gotta wait for another like a year and a half.
Oh, dude, have you watched Luther?
No, everyone says that's a great.
Oh, it's so good.
It's Netflix, so now I put it. See, people just now you have shows to watch.
I know, right? Oh, it's so good.
I want to bring up something that we talked about on the radio show about you and your visits to the morgue.
Oh yeah.
Now, how did you get into that whole dark thing? And tell these people how you went to the morgue and looked at bodies, and what made you go to do that?
You know that old saying, I got a guy? I got a guy. I remember it was 4th of July, and I was at a beach party, and next door was Tony Danza, and he had these amazing fireworks, and I said, how did you get them? And he looked at me, he's like, I got a guy. He said, I got a guy. Well, with the morgue, I got a guy, because you're not allowed to go in there. So I had an in, and I have to. It's top secret, so I'm not going to mention any names.
We don't want the guy's name. That would ruin the whole code of the guy got a guy code.
Exactly. So my friend, she also had an interest in that type of thing, and I have a very dark sensibility. Luther, Wire, these kinds of things, and I like to write stories. And so when the opportunity came up, and my friend said, "Oh, it's just something I do," she was very much into looking at how the body. She's into the anatomy of things, but I like to contemplate life and death, and you're in the presence of death. There's something so holy about it, or gross in the morgue anyway, and amazing. and how precious life is. I mean, you can just spin on all the things that it taps into, and how strange it is to see. You know, I saw a guy whose whole cranium was open, right? They were looking at his brains and stuff. And we came in after they had looked at it, and we're just standing there. We're in our, you wear like a gas mask kind of thing, you know, so you can't smell or you're in, you know, it's all surgical stuff. And then he flapped the dude's face down from, it was like peeled back, and he flapped his face down and just started, he's like, hey, how you doing? Just showing the face back down. And it was like, it went from like, you know, slab of meat to human, right? Because your face is so unique. Nobody has your face, right? And whatever. And that was such a strange moment for me. And I never want to forget that about how, what a fine line that is between slab of meat, human. Or, you know.
It's your next album title, Slab of Meat Human.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing that's so fascinating about that is how, you know, these people go to work every day at the morgue. They got a baseball team. They, you know, it's their job. There's no, they're just sweeping up, sewing. Oh, how you doing? You know, like, and there's a life, a past life, a story to tell with each one of these bodies, a whole story, a history. It was incredible. It was an honor too, and I don't mean to make light of it, because it was an honor to have that opportunity.
So have you done any more? Was it just one morgue visit, or are you doing it continually, like day at the morgue?
Well, check this out. Because of Facebook, I have a friend who has a connect at the Body Farm in Tennessee. You know what the Body Farm is?
What is it? I have no idea.
It's where they study forensic science, and they study the decomposition of bodies. And so they have all these, it's like this farm, and they have cadavers all over in various situations and drowning, you know, to see how the bodies decompose. And again, you got to have a guy. So
The Connect. What's the Connect?
So my friend Jen, she's a film director, also with a dark sensibility. My friend Jen Lynch, you know, she did Boxing Helena.
Okay.
She did Chained. She's a trip. She's David Lynch's daughter, and she is a brilliant artist.
Could you imagine growing up in that household? I mean, because he's so bizarre. It's like, I mean, just as a kid in David Lynch's household must have been just insane. Like, it must have been scary sometimes. I mean, just like you're a little kid, you're probably like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, but she's, you know what? There's a whole lot of love in that household, and for her birthday, he assembled all this footage of their family in Super 8s, and you saw young David Lynch with baby Jen Lynch, and it was so magical, because yes, I'm sure there was obviously, you know, he's an eccentric dude, but you know, love wins, and he's a dad, and he loves his baby girl, and that was so apparent in this film, and it was so moving and strange. And you know, he created a very unique egg. It's a case of nature versus nurture. And she told a story on my podcast, suckthejoy.com, www.suckthejoy.com. But she told a story on my podcast about how for her mother's birthday, he and Jen went out and got all this mud and covered the kitchen table with mud, this big mountain of mud, and made a little caves and put little creatures in it. And they spent like all day making this, because the mom was out. And she was probably 5 years old, or a little kid, right, naked, and it was fantastic, like that they were making this piece of art. And her mom came home and just wept with, like, it was the most beautiful thing, and they kept it there for like 3 months. Their kitchen table filled with this sculpture, you know, and like, you gotta think, like, how spectacular would that be as a 6-year-old or whatever, however old she was.
It's great.
It's a great story, but you know, that was normal for her. That was just normal life. And you know, she went on, and her house is magical, and she throws these backyard barbecues, and now they're making a sweat lodge in the backyard. Her husband is named Jim, and it's neat. It's really cool. I love when, you know, have to be name dropping, but it's kind of neat. My kids are friends with the Dylan kids, Bob Dylan's kids, and they've a tight-knit family. They're a family that hangs out, you know, and it's very touching, you know, when you hear about these kind of celebrities that, you know, he's a dad who has a son who has 2 kids that are awesome, the whole family, and they love each other, they have their issues, and it's pretty cool.
So what happened at the Body Farm?
Well, we got to connect, so we got the hostess, she can take one person in, and I felt that, and Jen and I are talking, but I felt like out of the 2 of us, she would utilize the imagery in a more immediate way because she's making movies, she directs films, and she directs Teen Wolf, and she's doing some show in Atlanta right now. But she would, I think, artistically benefit from that experience more than I would, you know, at this time. So I was like, dude, I'll give you my seat, you know, you go and enjoy. But she's trying to figure out how
Sneak you in,
yeah,
into the Body Farm, maybe
yeah.
make you look like a corpse, and just bring in that way.
Exactly.
I want to talk about, you were in the Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
And now that was a very big show, but had a very select audience, I think. It had a very, you know, it was the audience. I mean, what would you think the demographics was of that audience?
I don't know. People who I can tell who's going to recognize me from Gilmore Girls, that are usually female between the age of 20 and 35 right now. So these are girls in their, they were, at the time we did Gilmore Girls, so they were in their teenage years, you know, and their mothers. So those are usually the people, that would be the demographic. Yeah. That was a fun show to do. I enjoyed that.
Any weird stories of people who recognized you? Anyone just, because I always hear different stories, because some people are just weirdos who meet celebrities. Has anyone ever like bothered you, or have you ever been out and felt uncomfortable? Or also, have you ever really got hooked up with some perks because you're a celebrity?
Well, I did get hooked up with a great perk at the Science Center. I took Ruby and Jimmy, my oldest 2 kids, this was before you were born, Adunia, I took them to the Science Center for they were doing plasticine bodies, you know, where they were freeze-drying cadavers.
You like the more the cadavers, it's
but anyway,
I think you're in the wrong profession. I think you should
right?
work as a mortician. I think you should go to morticianry school.
Well,
There's a school
I
for that.
should, dude. And so, well, anyway, I wanted to take my kids to this show because it's amazing, and everyone was going. And I went in, and the guy who created the plasticine thing, plucked me out of the line. He was from Germany, and he took us on a secret tour, private. The guy and discussed all of the different, you know, the plasticine.
I don't even know. I've never
I
heard
don't
of
know.
it.
You look, they're big, giant. They put plastic on dead people. Okay, so we got the super secret, fabulous tour on that. That was a good perk.
It's a good perk.
Because I'm not, you know, I consider myself like a blue collar actress. I do my gigs. I go home. I lead a fairly normal life, and you know, I wish I don't know. Anyway, so I don't get recognized, you know. I've got a couple of scary freaks. I mean, that's weird.
Like, what do you
I just
mean?
unfriend. Well, somebody on Facebook was creepy, and that scared me. So I just delete, unfriend. Blah! He scared me. And you know, there's this great book, The Gift of Fear. Do you know that book, The Gift of Fear?
I just showed it to him yesterday.
Oh, it's a great book.
Yeah.
Gavin de Becker,
Yep.
right? And you just can't mess around with. If you get an instinct that somebody's a creep, you got to just like cut them off. Done. Bye bye. Bye bye. No interaction, because that's what that actually fuels them. And you know, I knew Rebecca Schaefer, you know, back in the day, and you know, I think Screen Actors Guild, after she got shot, this is a young actress that was shot in the 80s, I guess, or maybe 90s, early 90s. But after she got shot, the Screen Actors Guild sent out a thing like, don't sign autographs, don't do anything through because it encourages kooks, you know. They get a distorted perception about their connection to you.
That is creepy. I mean, people see it. And that's just amazing with social media now, even like on Twitter, when you see how mean some people are to other people on Twitter, like celebrities. I know Jimmy Kimmel always does that bit where the celebrities read the mean tweets. And it's just amazing what some of these people write, and why would you even do that? I mean, you know, I can see if you're joking, but you know, some of these things are just awful.
Yeah, I don't Google myself or do stuff like that because it hurts my feelings, and like, who cares? Like, I like the idea of social media where you can just send out an announcement, here's what I'm up to, come if you want, and it seemed like that was effective maybe 5 years ago, and it's getting less and less effective, which is a shame, because I think we're all getting kind of numb to the invites, as you and I were talking about, which is a shame. But I also love, like, I've made specific Facebook friends of really funny, smart people on Facebook, because I friend everyone unless they creep me out, and then I unfriend, or if they bump me out, unfriend is like a weird power you have, you know?
Now you do a podcast, Suck
Yeah.
the Joy. Now how did you get into doing podcasting, and what was your whole, how did you come about getting the person you do it with?
Well, Dave, my husband, he's like, you know what, Kathy, you should do a podcast. You really should. With the amount of people that you know, and you should do it. And the idea of doing it by myself frightened me, because I always tell people I'm funny by accident. I'm not a comedian. My hat's off to you. I've always had a certain reverence for comedians, but I didn't feel comfortable doing a podcast by myself. And my friend Corey had been doing tweets and Facebook posts, and every time he did a Facebook post, I fell over laughing. And he's also a guy that if I saw him at a party, I knew that I would have a great time if I just wormed my way over into where he was holding court, because he was so funny to me. And so he and so I called him and I was like, would you ever want to do a podcast? He's like, yes, come over. I've been told I really want to do it. So it was a nice coincidence. And so we're like 86 episodes in, trying to get our sea legs, figure out what type of show we're doing, I think is our issue. Like sometimes I interview some of my celebrity friends. We have Jen Lynch who comes on. She's a guest that comes on a lot, like and we talk about scary, ghoulish things. You know, like what would be your last meal if you were on death row?
What would yours be?
Oh, chocolate chip cookies and milk. There's no greater food to me. Chocolate chip cookies and milk. But and we talk about like we were trying to solve the perfect murder, like what would be the perfect murder, how to get away with it. Because I'd just seen this movie. What was that movie, Dave? That we saw, the documentary. What was that called?
I didn't watch it, I'm sorry.
Zachary, the documentary Zachary, Finding Zachary. There's a documentary about this really charismatic dude who got this awful girlfriend, and she became a stalker, and she killed him. It was awful, and then the parents had to, she was pregnant, so she had a baby, and the parents had to befriend her in order to have contact with the baby.
Wow.
It's such a great documentary. Dave, you sat and watched it with me. I can't believe you can't remember what it is. Anyway, it was so great. But we all felt like if we were the parents and somebody had killed your kid and you need to bump the chick off, right? She needs to be gone. So we were trying to figure out how you would bump her off without getting, arrested for a murder. So we decided to have Jen on to solve like the perfect murder, and they're so smart nowadays.
That's how I think when I watch like Dateline and 48 Hours and Cold Justice. It's like if you watch that, no matter how smart you think you are, you're not going to get away with murder. I mean, it's constantly that you see these guys. It's like, people don't get away with it, but yet people still think, oh yeah, I can get away with it.
Right. So it's amazing. So we were just pondering that for an episode, or we've done all kinds of things. Sometimes we talk about music, but I feel like we need to find out what we are, and so listen up and help us out.
How'd you get the title?
Suck the Joy. It's a song I have. You want to hear it?
Sure.
All right. he's like, we gotta call it Suck the Joy.
We're gonna wrap up soon. I gotta ask you one thing. I want to know is you worked with George Clooney before he was George Clooney. What was that like? I mean, because back then, I mean, people knew him, but not like they know him now.
Right. George he's an actor. He just was one of the gang. He was like he's like probably how you'd imagine him to be. He was a very, you know, I hung out with him one summer, him and Grant, his buddy Grant, we hung out, and he's just was waiting for that big gig, you know, and you know, he was one of the gang. It's always amazing to me who explodes out of the pack, right? And he hired a publicist during ER. And so I have this theory of like, it's no joke when you get that gig, the difference between the people that became hugely successful and the people who didn't are the people who had the big publicists. And they create sort of the right lightning bolt that strikes. You know, everything has to be in sync. There has to be the right project, the right part, the right time, you know, for people to just jump in there and be like, I'm a George Clooney fan. And also, he's incredibly smart and talented. So when he got up to the plate, he was ready to hit it out of the ballpark, is sort of how I see it. You know, I haven't seen the dude in 15 years. I mean, but when I'd seen him at, maybe it was like 15 years ago, but just as nice as ever. He's just like he's like somebody you root for. He's a good dude and was always generous and kind to people. And yeah, I would only imagine that he would be that way now.
Now, your music, you have a show coming up.
I do. On June 21st, I rented out a rehearsal hall, and so the sound is going to be really good. So I was very excited about that, and you can and get your tickets in advance. So you can do that. It's at Off the Wall Music Lounge. Off the Wall Music Lounge, and you go to www.offthewallmusiclounge.com, and you can get your tickets in advance. I just assumed it was, you know, I hope people come. It's my thing, because I rented out this place, and you know, I think it's gonna be a great night. I'm gonna have some of my friends who are great poets read some of their poems, because I love poems. But it's gonna be super short. They're just gonna read like 2 poems each or whatever. And then, you know, Rich Scheidner.
Yeah, good friend of his.
Okay, so I love Rich Scheidner.
He's very funny.
He's very
He's
funny.
actually in New Jersey right now, playing in Pennsville, New Jersey.
Is he?
At his hometown.
Okay, so I love Rich Scheidner, and because he's a storyteller. He's a great storyteller. Anyway, I was recently fascinated by this story about this dog Truffles, who was very ill on a plane ride back from Philly to Los Angeles, and I guess poor Truffles had this upset stomach and basically exploded in the cabin of the airplane, and they ran out of paper towels, and people were barfing because the smell was so unbelievable. And I could not stop laughing about this. Every time I thought about it, I cracked up, and Truffles is like the cutest dog ever. And so I posted it on my Facebook just because it's one of those things, like I thought, if you want to laugh, you got to read about Truffles, the dog in the emergency landing, because the dog shit all over the plane. And so I posted it, and Scheidner writes on my post, I was on that flight. So I was like, dude, I messaged him back, you gotta come and tell the story. So he's gonna come and tell the story of Truffles the dog and that terrible flight. And then I'm gonna play with my band, so you don't have to suffer through some of my shite guitar playing. My band is killer, and they're all wonderful, so I'm gonna play. And I have some new songs that I'm kind of excited about. I would have played them, but I got too chicken.
Well, I want to thank you for coming out.
Well, it's my pleasure.
I want you to close the show out with a song for us.
Really?
Would you like to?
Okay.
If you don't want to, we don't have to.
I'll play an old song that I can play. See how I'm doing.
Well, thank you for coming out.
Well, it is a real pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
It was fun. Even people, July 16, I'll be coming back doing another show. Technically, my guest is Jordan Brady, who directed the movie I Am Comic and the new documentary coming out, I Am Road Comic. So put it on your list. Come out. I want to thank you guys, and you guys have a great night.